For a certain tier of buyer, modern luxury has become incredibly exhausting. The market is saturated with hyperkinetic styling, screaming exhausts, and vehicles that demand attention from everyone on the street. But true dynastic wealth operates on a completely different psychological wavelength. When you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, absolute privacy and complete sensory control become the ultimate flex. With Project Nightingale, Rolls-Royce bypasses the traditional product launch entirely. This is a very deliberate, aristocratic declaration of dominance. The physical scale of this machine is immense. It stretches nearly 19 feet long, roughly the footprint of a full commercial delivery van, yet it is devoted entirely to transporting exactly 2 people. Access to it is equally restricted. The company will build exactly 100 of these worldwide, available strictly by invitation. Dedicating this much physical mass to such an impossibly small group of individuals sets a new standard for the ultra-elite. Extreme scarcity is the required baseline, not an optional feature. To read the coded language of this car, you have to look at its spatial footprint. It shares the exact length of a flagship Phantom, but designers entirely erased the rear cabin. This massive spatial inefficiency signals a strict devotion to inherited wealth. By eliminating practical utility and family transport, the architecture prioritizes pure ceremony. The bodywork's horizontal geometry borrows heavily from streamline moderne. This Art Deco architecture favored clean, continuous volumes and aggressive horizontal lines over ornate decoration. The unbroken central fuselage running from front to back pulls directly from the Rolls-Royce EX experimental cars of the 1920s. Those lightweight, torpedo-shaped machines were built to push the limits of speed and excess during the Jazz Age. Nightingale inherits their flying wings, structural volumes that create tension in the metal and physically force your eye to follow the car rearward. That line resolves in the aero afterdeck. This yacht-like rear silhouette tapers cleanly to maintain aerodynamic stability, eliminating the need for a bolted-on rear spoiler. Fusing the ambition of vintage racing with extreme spatial inefficiency produces a rolling piece of architecture built to actively reject practical demands of modern life. That rejection of the ordinary extends to the powertrain. The fully electric drivetrain here was selected purely for absolute acoustic purity, not ecological compliance. Removing the internal combustion engine meant eliminating the need for cooling radiators. Designers used that freedom to craft a monolithic, meter-wide stainless steel front grille. Without the clutter of air intakes or exhaust pipes, the exterior surfaces maintain an intimidating, perfectly smooth discipline from bumper to bumper. Inside the cabin, the total mechanical silence of the electric motor acts as a blank canvas, giving the engineers complete control over the sensory environment. The interior exercises extreme tactile restraint. The usual wall of digital screens is gone, leaving nearly every function routed through just 5 rotary dials, each machined with the precision of high-end jewelry. This analog layout makes room for the cabin's true focal point, an intricate lighting installation called the Starlight Breeze Suite. This animated diagram shows how the suite is structured. These abstract lines represent the acoustic waveform of a Nightingale song, mapped into thousands of individual light points. These exact coordinates wrap completely around the doors and seats, enclosing passengers inside a visual melody. By stripping away the mechanical vibration of an engine and replacing it with visualized birdsong, the vehicle transforms into a perfectly sealed psychological embrace. Under the Rolls-Royce coachbuilt philosophy, acquiring the car requires a highly curated multi-year courtship rather than a standard financial transaction. The 100 invited clients have been part of an exclusive inner circle for over 2 years, actively helping to test prototypes and define the strict aesthetic limits of the final design deep within the walls of the Goodwood estate. This is the reality of the post-product economy. For a buyer at this level, the intimate, collaborative experience of creation holds equal value to the physical object sitting in their driveway. Project Nightingale acts as a mythic line drawn in the sand, protecting the definition of prestige against the trend of elite brands expanding into mass-market volume. At the highest level of wealth, luxury means ignoring the world entirely to find quiet satisfaction among the very few who matter.